now always on.
From Indiana's fastest growing news source, this is live, local, late-breaking 6 News.
Well, you've read the report, and now you might soon be able to view the president's videotaped grand jury testimony in the Monica Lewinsky matter. Good evening. I'm Dionne Willis.
And I'm Clyde Lee. 2 Hoosier House members sit on the committee that could decide tomorrow whether to release the tape. Meantime, the White House sits business as usual. But there are a lot of questions surrounding this tape. For instance, how much of the tape should be released? Maybe all of it. For the latest, we go to Jim Sciutto. He's live in Washington with more. Jim?
It wasn't an easy day for the president, with House members marching down the road towards impeachment hearings, and another state visit for the president, largely overshadowed by the controversy surrounding Mr. Clinton's relationship with Monica Lewinsky.
A lavish state dinner with Czech President Václav Havel appeared to give Mr. and Mrs. Clinton some much appreciated relief from the Lewinsky matter. But earlier at a press conference with the Czech leader, the president's lone relief was that reporters could only ask a total of 6 questions.
You have a moral authority to lead this nation.
Through it all, the president stuck to a common theme.
What I believe the people of the country want is, now that they know what happened, they want to put it behind them, and they want to go on. They want me to go on and do my job, and that's what I intend to do. That is the right thing to do.
But Mr. Clinton will have to do his job under the shadow of continuing talk of impeachment hearings. Even as Democrats on the House Judiciary Committee urged a cautious approach to the impeachment question.
I think that we have to be very careful not to rush to judge.
Republicans seem to have already made up their minds.
If there's been abuse of office, and if the evidence substantiates that, there's only one thing we can do, and that is move forward with impeachment.
In the meantime, the House Judiciary Committee is debating the release of more of the independent counsel's evidence, including Mr. Clinton's taped testimony before the Lewinsky grand jury.
The House Judiciary Committee is expected to vote tomorrow to release the president's grand jury testimony before the end of the week. Reporting live from Capitol Hill, I'm Jim Sciutto. Now back to you.
Thank you, Jim. If the Judiciary Committee votes to release the president's testimony, television network executives will decide just how much of it you'll get to see. CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News Channel plan to air all of Clinton's testimony unedited just as soon as they get the tape. ABC says the network brass will watch the testimony before they decide. NBC plans to air excerpts, and CBS says the jury is still out on this one.
2 Indiana congressmen will be part of tomorrow's debate in that Judiciary Committee.
Steve Booyer of the 5th District and 7th District Congressman Ed Pease both have a say about whether you will get to see the president's grand jury testimony.
Kevin Doran is here with more on how they might vote on this. Kevin?
Well, Clyde and Dionne, those hearings are closed to the public, but both are Republicans. The vote is expected to go down party lines, and Republicans have the majority, so the tape will be released. Now, Pease says he has been very busy, and his constituents have made it very clear about how they feel about the president.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
So you think you've heard a lot about the president's problems recently? Imagine being a member of the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman Ed Pease says he, Indiana Congressman Steve Booyer, and other members of the committee have focused on almost nothing else as they prepare to decide whether the president's videotaped testimony should be released to the public.
Because we're charged with the immediate responsibility of making what must be a fair determination if the country is going to be able to move forward on this. And we...
Pease has been flooded with calls about the president.
Our calls are overwhelmingly against the president, overwhelmingly, from all of our offices in the district and in Washington.
Pease isn't alone. Indiana Senator Dan Coates has received 1,700 calls asking for the president's resignation or impeachment, 100 in support. Does Pease look forward to deciding the president's fate?
Whether you're in Washington or whether you're in western Indiana, there's a great deal of sadness that we're even in this situation. I don't think anybody wants to be in this situation.
Pease isn't the only Hoosier politician talking about the president. During a speech in Iowa today, former Vice President Dan Quayle said he believes a great majority of the American people disapprove of President Clinton. And he added, I hope that someday he'll realize that what's best for the country is for him to go. And Clyde and Dionne, back to the videotape, should be released to the public Friday.
Okay. Thanks, Kevin.
Well, Nightline will have more on the crisis at the White House immediately after 6 News tonight at 11. Ted Koppel talks to the heavy hitters on the House Judiciary Committee at 11:35. Well, meanwhile, President Clinton will be traveling to the heartland tomorrow. It'll be a pivotal day in his presidency. Clinton will attend a Democratic fundraiser here in Cincinnati at this home. It belongs to an attorney, Stan Chesley. He'll be also speaking at a congressional campaign reception there. 6 News will also be there, so watch for live reports from Cincinnati tomorrow at midday, 5, and 6 News at 6 o'clock.
To other news now, a double shooting rocks a rural White County community and tears at the fabric of a family there. An elderly man is dead, his wife critically hurt. The suspect, the couple's teenage grandson. Sarah Fraden is live near Lafayette, where police are piecing this case together tonight. Sarah?
That's right, Clyde, but there is some good news. Police got the break that they were looking for tonight. You see, when the victims were found shot in the head inside their home, their car was missing. But tonight, police found that car in Lafayette. And inside the car, they found 3 men, including the victim's 17-year-old grandson. Police also found several rifles in the car, rifles which were missing from the victim's home. Right now, evidence technicians are examining the car for fingerprints and clues, and detectives are just beginning to interview the 3 men whom police are calling suspects.
We've still got a long way to go. I suppose that we should have additional information as the night goes on. Will that solve it? We don't know yet.
The 3 men are juveniles, and their parents are here at the state police post. Speculation is that 2 of the men may be released tonight, but that the victim's grandson will most likely be held overnight. As for the victim's 68-year-old Thomas Temple was dead before police arrived at the home, but his wife, Carol Temple, is still fighting for her life tonight. She's in critical condition on life support at St. Elizabeth's Hospital in Lafayette. We're live in Lafayette. I'm Sarah Fraden, 6 News.
Thank you, Sarah.
We have so many news stories on victims. Violence hits home for thousands of Hoosier families every single year.
But now help is on the way for local residents touched by domestic violence. That's one of tonight's other big stories.
I'm Jack Reinhardt. Victims of domestic violence will soon get some help. In exchange for $500,000 in grant money, police have agreed to adopt a policy of mandatory arrest in obvious cases of battery. Police will hire victims' advocates and a prosecutor skilled in stalking cases. Last year, IPD responded to 28,000 incidents of domestic violence.
I'm Vince Robinson at Noblesville High School, where administrators are now considering installing security cameras in and outside the school. They say it's not in response to any major problem here at the school. Instead, it's a proactive way to protect students and school property.
I'm Norman Cox. With winter on the way, the Indiana Department of Transportation has begun inspecting the more than 1,000 trucks that keep our highways clear. INDOT says it will be ready for whatever the winter throws at it, thanks partially to a leftover load of salt that it didn't have to spread last year.
I'm Mary Schwager at the Indianapolis International Airport, where the first Northwest flights left the ground this morning since the pilot strike was settled. The airline isn't out of the woods yet. It's still negotiating contracts with 5 other unions. The Machinist Union rejected a tentative agreement and asked federal mediators to start a 30-day countdown to a strike. In the meantime, the airline is trying to win back customers by offering special deals like triple frequent flyer miles.
Northwest plans to be back at full power by Monday. The 15-day pilot walkout ended Saturday.
Former Alabama Governor George Wallace was remembered today as a man who had the courage to change. Wallace was laid to rest today with full military honors, a jet flyover, and a 21-gun salute. The snarling, fist-shaking segregationist of the 60s preached racial cooperation later in his life. He was buried in a plot with his first wife, who was the mother of his 4 children. And CNN correspondent John Holloman was buried today in Atlanta. He was remembered as a man who loved his job, reporting on NASA and space. The Flying Troop Sky Warriors flew in a missing man formation at the end of the service.
A controversial Hoosier congressional race is in the national spotlight tonight, but it's the kind of exposure 6th District candidate Bobby Kern and state Democrats could do without. Comedy Central's Daily Show will feature Kern in the next couple of weeks. Their visit here comes one day after the prosecutor's office announced they would not file charges against Kern for threatening employees at a Bank One branch. It's just the latest in a string of black eyes for Kern, something that appeals to Comedy Central correspondent A. Whitney Brown.
So they have a cross-dressing convicted felon running as a Democrat in the 6th Congressional District. That is funny.
State Democrats say it's no laughing matter. They're trying to remove the convicted felon from the November ballot because he changed his name from Hidalgo to Kern a day before he declared his candidacy. A judge is expected to rule on that matter by next week. Kern did not return our phone calls for comments.
Hamilton County is in the midst of a building boom.
But some Westfield residents want to put the brakes on a development in their backyard. We'll tell you why coming up on 6 News.
And listen up, the car in your driveway might need some repairs. Put your remote in park for recall information on several popular models of the Honda Accord.
Herbal remedies are flying off those store shelves, but at least one group says they're not necessarily good medicine. We'll tell you why.
And holy cow, $500,000 worth of Cubs tickets lost in the mail. We'll tell you where they hit home.
And for the second straight hour rain out at the airport, is there a trend here? We'll check radar. You can see it's fairly isolated. We'll have that forecast into the weekend when we come back.